Welcome to this week's LinkedIn Live for allergy-based marketing. If you notice, I'm in a different location today. I am streaming live to you from Las Vegas. I am at the Pack Expo 2023. Yes, I am dealing with all things packaging and allergies and helping people understand hidden consumer buying power at conventions. So with me today, without further ado, is Kyle Dine. He is the founder of Equal Eats. We met last month because of LinkedIn, and he does some amazing work and has done amazing work within the allergy community, from education all the way up. And during COVID, he launched Equal Eats because, like me, he decided, why not launch a business during COVID? So Kyle, with that, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit more? Tell us about yourself and what it is you do.
Thanks, Amy. Well, pleasure to meet you. Thank you, LinkedIn, for facilitating and a mutual connection, and really happy to be here. I have struggled a long time having multiple food allergies. I was diagnosed when I was a wee little one, when I was a toddler, to severe allergies of peanut, tree nuts, fish, shellfish, egg, and more recently mustard seed. So I've had a lot of ups and downs with my allergies. I went from everything from a overprotected kid when I was young from my parents, having some reactions here or there, to a cavalier teenager who wanted nothing to do with their health condition nor medicine, to a 20-something who had a life-threatening incident, lucky to be alive, and decided to take a stand and do a better job with my own health and take ownership of it. And here I am, still standing, still trying to make a difference, though, is the major change in the last 10 to 15 years, helping other people become empowered over their food allergies, because I've been through those stages where you don't want to be known for them. You don't want to deal with them. And as you get older, you start to realize, I've had them for quite a few years. Maybe they're not going away. And there's ways to deal with health conditions where you can take charge of it. You can live your best life. And for me, that's what I preach. I try to help the allergy, the free from community, not only dine safer and eat safer, but travel and enjoy some of these things in life that some in our community are scared of and think are off limits. So through children's education, through Equal Eats, I have my hands in many different ventures that help out our community, and all things are trying to help.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about Equal Eats, because the allergy card you came out with is fantastic. And I knew about your product before I even met you, because it's all over in my allergy community. And my allergy obviously is not recognized by the government. Sounds like most of yours are, but is mustard recognized as an allergen?
Not in the US.
Not in the U. Okay, it's one of the 14. Yeah. So
Yes.
you get to kind of deal with what I deal with unrecognized as well then.
Yeah, especially mustard seed, natural special flavorings, things like this, where it could be part of the flavoring, or spices, especially any type of barbecued frozen box of chicken or whatever. It can definitely fit in there. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty plain Jane when it comes to those things.
Yeah, you have to be. So your experience is what launched Equal Eats. So tell us more about Equal Eats and what it is it does, and how you are trying to change the conversation in restaurants.
For sure. For me, traveling was always off limits. When I was younger, I was a homebody. I was very intimidated about not only just dining out around the block, but let alone going to a different country, especially with different awareness of different allergens, and then language barriers. So I got my first try at traveling when I was 21. I went on exchange. I was trying to go to an English speaking country, and I got Sweden. I got Sweden, and well, all things considered, amazing experience, beautiful country, wonderful culture. I met my wife there. A lot of good things came from it, but it planted the seed of how difficult it was to communicate. And I didn't dine out much. I ate a lot at my residence, and really planted the seed that there's more that can be done to help people travel safer. So in the pandemic, in those dark months of staying at home and fiddling around with every idea we've ever had in the past, Equal Eats was born, and essentially wanted to create very high quality, professional, and accurate allergy translation cards. So cards that are plastic, that you can have all of your food allergies, your special diet listed on. Here's a celiac disease one, and here's one of my old ones for my food allergies in Slovenian here. And the goal was really to make the best card possible for our community. So um, went from the very ground up in designing these cards with professional designers, with linguists, with chefs, with the allergy community, the celiac community. Really made sure that the design was right, that this is something that would convey what we want to say when dining out, but also what chefs and wait staff need to hear. And I think for a lot of cards that I've seen in the past, that balance is not always struck. They are looking for very specific messaging, which we strive for to be very concise. And then when it comes to the translations, this is a whole nother ball game where it's not easy nor quick, but I use professional human translators. I use expert human proofreaders to double check that. And as a third step, because my allergies are life threatening, I can't sleep at night unless I know these translations are accurate. I use third party native speakers that are native speakers to triple check, make sure that really the cards talk the talk, because it's one thing to have professionals translate. It's another thing to make sure that they're understood in the different parts of certain regions. So that gives us an overall authenticity to the cards. And so far, we had a rough go at the start of the pandemic. No one's traveling, no one's dining out. We made a pretty much useless product at the time, but now it's amazing to see people using them, traveling the world, and not limiting themselves because of their allergy or diet.
Have you gone digital with your cards yet, or are you working on that?
We went digital as of this May, so here's
Woo-hoo!
probably not going to show up well on a screen, but
Right.
here's I have a peanut allergy card here. You'll have to take my word for it. And then absolutely, so you can then just toggle it across the 50 languages that we have. So we have plastic cards, which are great to hand over and really taken seriously. We also have print at home cards, because some people are like me. They think of things the night before they travel. And, oh my goodness, I need a card. So we offer the print at home. You can just print 100 copies and just hand them out. And then we have the app now, which is on both iOS and Android. So it's available on both systems. And then you can create your own digital cards. You can share it through text message with friends, with family, teachers, and food service as well.
That's amazing. I kind of wish we did that for business cards, because it could still look decent on a business card. Because hours before I had to leave home for Vegas, I realized my business cards were not branded properly. So that's an amazing feature. What are the future plans for Equal Eats? Like, are you planning on taking this any further? What's next for what you're doing?
Yeah, I feel like we're just getting started, and really excited for a bigger mission for the company. I think it's really valuable what we do right now in helping people bridge language barriers, but I don't think it solves the bigger problem for our community when we dine out, and that is two-way communication, transparency of the food industry, and really having a sense of true comfort when we dine out, and being able to have a normal experience like everybody else gets to have. I still don't get this. When I dine out, as you know, you look at a menu and you have a different hat on. You are just like, don't talk to me. I'm focused. I am focused.
Right.
And right? And
Yeah, you're reading
already like
between those
crossing out
menu
that.
items.
Yeah, that's a conversation. That's an in-depth conversation. There's a whole different mindset.
Yes.
Right. So I think, where we're going is bridging these issues, where it's one thing to communicate and disclose effectively. It's another thing for the food service industry to receive that information, take it seriously, have the processes in place, have the transparency of their supply chain and ingredients, and tell you, thank you for telling us about your allergies. We know that this is safe, that is safe, that is safe. And for me and you to have the confidence and their
Yep.
response is where we need to go. So
Yes.
we're solving one part of that problem to start off with, of just accurate communication from our end, which can definitely get upgraded. I think there's a lot of people that call in intolerance and allergy and
Yeah.
call it this and that, when food service, they really want to know exactly what they're dealing with.
Yep.
So we're trying to standardize that, and then we're off to help the food service industry next.
Right. And that's where I'm coming in and changing the conversation is I'm trying to change the food industry now.
Absolutely. Time is
Let's
now.
be transparent. So even when we buy food for our homes, we know what we're buying because right now we don't. And we have to read between the ingredient lines. Okay, I see this ingredient, which means my allergen, my intolerance might be used. So now I'm not going to buy the product because it might be a risk to my health.
Right.
Right. And that's where the conversation really has to change. It's a total system if we're going to get all these changes. So you and I can dine out without thinking about it, which I don't know if we'll ever really get to that point, but if we can get a step closer, it would be an amazing achievement.
Well, I fully agree, and I think part of the issue is the industry itself not taking it seriously enough to make these changes. The changes are not rocket science. It's this isn't taking us to Mars. This is taking ingredients and telling us what they are,
Yeah.
and valuing our community as customers.
Yeah.
And I think part of that overall mission that I'm looking at is just growing a mass of our community, that when we have a singular voice, whether you have food allergy or celiac or you have any type of dietary restriction,
Yep.
I think our power is when we work together.
Yeah.
And that is when the food service industry needs to take notice, because we're not just the 2% with peanut allergy. We are a much larger part of the pie that wants to spend our money and have normal, great experiences.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You really touched on a really good point too, is, there's like a minimum of 85 million of us trying to spend 19 billion a year that the food industry doesn't want 19 billion a year. Like, why would you not want to pad your revenue and your bottom line? We're not asking you to change and switch, right? But the other point you made is, hidden consumers aren't just people with allergies. It is the people who they have a dietary need that they're not allergic to it, but it's going to cause some very big health issues, diabetes, high cholesterol. I mean, besides celiacs, and I mean, there's just so many things out there. The current research I'm seeing is about 60% of Americans have some kind of a food or dietary need that causes them to stop and think about what they buy. That's over half the country.
Yeah, it's
That's
very significant.
it blows the mind. So that's why you and I are doing some amazing work to try and change this conversation
Well, and
because
that is why we named the company Equal Eats.
it's
Whatever it is, whether it's a food allergy or anything else, I don't rank one over the other. Whatever's important to you and your health, it's up to you. But I think we all have an equal seat at the table. I think we all, whatever it is, we have power together to make change.
Yep. And what's really cool is being at the first day of the convention out here for packaging was I ran into some really amazing sustainabilities who are getting away from plastics altogether. But my question to them was, because they said they're using like root vegetables to make their products. And I'm like, that is fantastic. But what root vegetables are you making? Because people in the hidden consumer market are going to be allergic to your bottle. And that blew their mind. It was like their head just went, wait, what? Like, seriously, things leach. It doesn't matter. Plastics leach into your food. Tupperware, when you heat it up, it's going to leach into your food, right? All of these things that the food industry doesn't realize, but impacts you and I and others like us who have to be one more step vigilant than the rest of the industry.
Yeah, well, that's two packaging laws that they would need to be aware of versus one all of a sudden in terms of pre-packaged ingredient listings and packaging laws. So very interesting time.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
start thinking about it.
yeah. So, and the thing is if they're using root vegetables that aren't recognized anywhere as an allergen, then they don't have to technically say what
Mhm.
they're, yeah. So it's going to be a fun conversation moving forward as we look at some of these new packagings coming out the line. I'm excited because I'm like, I'm allergic to packaging. So
Oh,
I'm like, I'm having a lot of fun having some really fun conversations out here. But this was an amazing day. Is there anything else you'd like to share about you, or any last things you want to leave us with before we move on and let you have the rest of your time back today?
well, I would just say, for anybody with a food allergy, with any type of dietary restriction, one, don't feel that it should ever limit you. I'm a cheerleader through and through that they should not define you. Um, we have a rough road sometimes in life, and sometimes it is frustrating as hell with the situations that we deal with others, the ignorance, the restaurants, the eye rolls. We know this. It always gets easier. We all get stronger. And the more that you do to advocate for yourself, you're actually trailblazing for the rest of our community too.
Yeah.
So I would just say to everybody out there, keep using your voice when you feel wronged. Don't just let it go. When you feel like a burden, don't just let it slide. We're not back when I was a kid when it was no one would believe allergies existed. We're in a point where we have power in numbers, and we deserve better. So I would
Yeah.
just end off with that we all deserve a normal experience. So that's me doing our rah for using that
Woo!
voice in our community.
Excellent. I am 100% there. And before we sign off, if you are curious to learn more about hidden consumer consulting and how we're working to change the conversation, you can go to allergybasedmarketing.com and check out my latest blog on changing the conversation. So with that, thank you, everybody. Kyle, it was a pleasure. And we have to catch up again soon because I always enjoy our conversations.
I can't wait. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.